What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Week 5 Fantasy Football Noon Update. We're coming to you live here with some of the bigger fantasy football in and out scenarios this week. We're also answering some of your lineup questions that you're sending in and have sent in to us during this time. We want to get you all set before you have to put a lineup in before that 1 o'clock kickoff. So let's just jump right into it here. Probably the biggest news of the week in the morning so far. Marcus Mariota is out versus the Dolphins today. My first question here, obviously, with this one is, does this affect the running backs in a big enough way that you're worried about them?
I actually think personally, I think the Titans backfield is going to go crazy today. I think they're going to lean heavy on them. I don't like the Dolphins run defense. They've looked pretty porous up to this point over the last couple of weeks. People would expect them to snap out of it and maybe play a little bit more, ball control ground game on their end to keep their defense off the field some. But at the same time, I think this is one of those days where we're going to see Henry and Murray both get involved heavy. I like both in double-digit points this week. I just said it to you guys, privately. I think each of them is going to get in the end zone this week, and you're looking at probably close to 200 total yards between the two of them.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't touch it. I'm like on the other end of the spectrum just because, of course, they're going to lean on them, but Miami's going to know they're going to lean on them. So why not completely stack the box? Obviously, if you're in a situation where you have to play them, it's okay. Miami, while they're going to stack the box, like you said, Rock, they haven't been lighting it up. But personally, if you have other options, I'd go that way.
Yeah, I kind of still like DeMarco Murray here just because of the pass catching element. I know that Henry can catch the ball as well, but it's a little bit less for him. So I think that even if they have a hard time getting some traction, you're still going to get a decent amount of receptions out of the backfield from Murray. But this game could really turn into an ugly game. And that's kind of my concern there. So just one last thing on this particular situation. Is there any impact here to Delanie Walker and how you're going to use him this week?
No, I think that's a tight end. He is a tight end. He's your guy. It's not like they're turning to some rookie who doesn't know what's going on. I mean, Castle's been around, so – I guess he's smart enough to realize who his main target should be and I think will be. So I would deploy Delanie Walker as usual.
All right, let's talk about Derek Carr. He's unlikely to play versus the Ravens. The reports are that he's pushing hard to still be able to play with a fracture in his back. I'm really not sure that's going to happen. You're probably going to get a healthy helping of E.J. Manuel today for the Raiders. Can you kind of expect the same production from this offense as last week, or do you think they're going to utilize Marshawn Lynch more?
I think with a whole week to game plan, it's so tough when your starting quarterback goes down in the middle of a game because you game planned all week thinking he's going to be there. You don't game plan for the worst case scenario, obviously. But now you kind of knew that he was more than likely going to be out. I think if they're smart, they'll keep him out. They don't want to risk long-term injury, for a guy that they just gave $125 million to. So the smart thing is to keep him out. But they had a whole week now to game plan with E.J. Manuel as their quarterback. I think, they can still take deep shots here and there, but I think it's going to be a much more controlled situation. Utilizing Lynch, utilizing the backfield in general, maybe even a spike in the tight end usage because Manuel is going to be checking down. He's not going to be taking a whole lot of deep shots. But, generally, I think it's going to be a much more E.J. Manuel-centric game plan and not a Derek Carr game plan.
All right, my only concern there is that, you can kind of try and shut down the run game almost completely at this point and challenge E.J. Manuel to beat you. I'm not sure whether or not he's capable of doing that. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but I just feel like it's going to be tough sledding for Marshawn Lynch this week. So I would be cautious there personally. All right, in Philadelphia, Wendell Smallwood is out. I know a lot of people are hurting for running backs at this point. A lot of people picked up Smallwood. I'll raise my hand on that one, hoping for some help during bye week times and injuries right now. Can you expect a big game from LeGarrette Blount here, or are you scared at all about this Arizona Cardinals defense?
It's a tough defense, but Philly's offense has been consistently good this year, and it's been game plan dependent. It feels like they went into the first two games and They wanted to chuck the ball, and they did, and they put up some points. And then the last 2 weeks, they wanted to run the ball, and they did, and they put up points. Shockingly, they actually had the longest streak of 20-point games in the entire league. So it depends a little bit what Coach Peterson wants to do on the game plan. With what I understand the weather to be is a little bit rainy, a little bit windy. I think with the secondary that Arizona has, they might want to keep Carson Wentz out of bad situations where he might turn the ball over. And that points me to LeGarrette Blount and Corey Clement. I think it's going to be a ground and pound kind of game for Philadelphia. Yes, Arizona's front is very tough. They've played well to this point, but I kind of could see the run game taking over here. And I only own Blount in one league, but he is absolutely in my lineup.
See, I know you guys are Eagles fans, and I know you guys are going to get a little bit more of this, but as an outside person, all we've seen so far this year is throw. I mean, we've made for the most part, we talk about how Carson
weeks in a row they have 30+ carries.
We openly joked about already this year that Carson has more passing attempts than any quarterback through his first number of games. It's like I get scared because, one, it's a matter of picking the right back in that backfield that is already viewed as, a passing attack. So I'm not saying that I'm staying away from it. Obviously, like, you guys watch more Eagles games than I do, so you have a better feel for that type of thing. All I can go by is the stats, and I see Carson Wentz throwing 30+ times every time he's out there. So it's kind of tough to get a read on that back, being that they don't have a bell cow. That's just my opinion.
All right, we'll see how that plays out. I do tend to agree, though. I think that given the weather, given the circumstances of the game, given the quick strike potential nature of this Cardinals offense when they're hitting on all cylinders, which hasn't happened in quite some time, to be honest, I think they're going to try and control the ball. I think they're going to run quite a bit here. So I also like Blount, and I also like Clement if you're really desperate. So just a couple names who are officially in this week. Marquise Lee, Kelvin Benjamin, John Brown nursing a quad injury. Martavis Bryant just announced he will be in this week. He's also nursing a bit of a quad injury. So all of those players are in. Just throwing it out there. Any of the names that are on that list that were banged up raise any kind of red flags that you would stay away from them?
I think John Brown's lack of usage, but they like Jaron Brown more, I believe. So the other two deploy as willing.
Yeah, I feel like with John Brown there, and given that he's got a quad injury and that he relies so much on speed and going deep, at any point that could flare up again. So he could also just be almost used as a decoy from time to time. So I'm not sure I'd be using him. And I agree, I do like Jaron Brown a lot more. All right, let's get to some questions here. And if you're watching right now, you can feel free to submit some questions. We've already got a couple here that we're going to hit on. Charles wants to know, start one this week, Matthew Stafford or Cam Newton? Obviously playing against each other this week. Tough call. Who are you going with?
That game kind of screams 13-10 to me. I mean, I'm interested to see how Cam responds to finally getting back to his old dominant ways last week. Was that more of a Patriot situation or what was it? But I guess I would go with Cam, I think. On the road is tough. I think I'd go with Cam. I think Detroit's starting to head towards getting Amir Abdullah the ball a little bit more on the ground. They might want to try to keep it away, but that's a tough one. I'd go Cam, but I'm not feeling overly confident about it, I guess.
Here's one question I have for both of you, because it's definitely played into my mindset all week. Does the media issue that took place this week get in his head at all?
It's hard to even try and figure out what's going on in Cam Newton's head at any point.
Ever.
Let alone this week. So
I am, because I'll give you my honest opinion, because of all of that and the fact of not knowing how he'll bounce back, and is last week the real Cam or is the previous week the real Cam? I would actually tend to lean towards Stafford. Yeah, Cam absolutely has the higher ceiling, but Stafford definitely has the higher floor.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I would definitely lean towards Stafford in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I'm going with the same line of thinking there, just because Stafford, I feel like he's less likely to give you a game where you're going to end up with an egg, and that could happen with Cam. Now, Cam could have a better game, and I wouldn't be shocked, but he's also more likely of the two to just lay a complete egg. So I tend to play it safe in this situation. I probably wouldn't rank them very far apart at all, but I'm definitely going with Matthew Stafford this week. All right, Eric chimes in on Facebook, wants to know Alex Collins versus the Raiders or Isaiah Crowell versus the Jets.
I mean, Crowell is drafted as a top 15 back in almost all leagues. Like, it's almost silly that we're having this conversation right now. But, I mean, the Jets' run defense has looked good in the last couple of weeks. They have not, they've definitely shown up. The one strength of that defense has been the run defense. So I might lean towards Alex Collins today just because I think the Ravens, being that the Raiders are starting E.J. Manuel, the Ravens have a little bit more of a tendency to maybe have a lead and then just try and run out that lead, milk that lead. They're not a team that's going to throw the ball all over the place. So I think we could see the Jets jump out on the Browns a little bit here and then kind of abandon the run for a little bit. So that's why I would just go Collins in this particular situation, just given the matchups.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. They're starting to get away from Crowell, so I'd go Collins as well.
Yeah, I have no idea what the Browns are doing at the running back position. I like Crowell a ton. It just seems like they're more interested in having a more versatile back. They're getting Duke Johnson way more involved. He's in there a lot more often. Plus, the Browns this might be the week where they can keep it a little closer, but they have not done anything to stay in games pretty much at all. So they're always throwing the ball. They really can't get any kind of lead. I heard some kind of crazy stat, like they haven't had a lead in a game dating back to like week 16 of last year at this point. So when you add all of that up, I don't see a whole ton of running the ball. So I would go with Collins here as well. All right, let's get one more in here real quick. Drew chimes in on YouTube, wants to know Devontae Parker or Devontae Adams this week.
That's a Parker, no doubter for me. I'm not even thinking about it. I know Adams is active, but he's going to take one shot, and that's going to be that. Or they may even if he doesn't take a shot, they may want to limit his snap count. He honestly could be active for them to see how the game's going. Right. And if they get ahead and they're controlling the game, which is possible, he's not going to play second half. You know what I mean? They're going to roll with Allison instead of him. Keep him healthy as the game goes on. Now, if it's a close game, which I think is more likely, he may play more, but there's no question about what Devontae Parker's presence is on Miami's offense. He's been heavily targeted. They're going to be able to get downfield on a Tennessee defense that just got lit up. That's not even close for me. I'm going Parker.
Yeah, make it 2 for 2. It's the exact same reasoning.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Adams is more active so that you kind of have to game plan for him. I think he's going to be on a limited snap count personally. I think if it was 100% even health, to me, it's a no-brainer that it's Adams. But
the other way, yeah.
I just don't agree that at this point, he's fully healthy. So this screams decoy situation, limited reps to me. So I'm going with Parker here. I think he's more likely to give you the production that you're looking for out of your wide receiver this week. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up this week. If you've got more questions, you could hit us up on Twitter. We're at Football Goons or Facebook.com/Football Goons. We'll be checking in on those sites over the next half hour or so. So if you've got something you want to know, you can comment on the video here, comment on social media, and we'll try to hit you back up with an answer. We do this live every Sunday at noon, give you the updates before you set your lineup. So we're hoping that everyone has a great week 5. We hope that everybody wins unless you're playing us. And enjoy football this week, guys. We'll catch you next time.